Good morning. My best friend's cigarettes almost killed me, but without them I may not have survived my teenage years. Often feeling so lonely because of my sexuality, being gay, I was never ashamed of my cerebral palsy. My cerebral palsy was never my handicap. Being gay was. I think I did a pretty good job of hiding it. The loneliness and pain I felt because of my Catholic upbringing and not wanting to hurt others, I suffered in silence. But a cigarette could help me deal with my loneliness. Putting on music in my bedroom, smoking would help me feel connected to God because He was the only one who really knew how I felt and the only one who understood. People who often talk about God, I felt often didn't really know Him or would use them in a form of manipulation in their daily lives. Cigarettes are emotional and a physical addiction. Like with any addiction, in time it gets worse. I started in seventh grade so kids would think I was tough and they would not pick on me. It helped some. Before then, I was a good Catholic boy. Would go to bed and get on the bed, outside the bed on my hands and knees, and say my prayers every night. Would never think of swearing because that would be wrong. My mother traveled all the way around the world to pray for me when she had bone cancer. So how would I allow myself to become a smoker? Regular school was a dream. Not all the kids uh, made my dream difficult, but a few did. I was walking on canes, and I had to walk up and down stairs with many steps that terrified me. I didn't want my parents to know because I thought they would maybe make me go back to school with disabled kids. I had upset stomach many mornings because of nerves, but I acted happy. School was really hard, and I had to go in at 7:30 a.m. for tutoring. A few of my friends would throw matches at my hair, come over and play pool at our house. When I went to the bathroom, they would torture our Boston Terrier Duchess. We had a walkout basement, and we would let the dog go out at night and smoke cigarettes. I'm sure my parents never saw the smoke billowing outside the window in the living room upstairs. My parents did everything they could do to stop me, but I was stubborn. If they grounded me or whatever, it didn't do any good. Smoking at this age kind of gave me the reputation. Well, I'm going to do what I want even if my parents try to stop me. In a way, it's kind of logical. Lonely, isolated, nobody to talk about my sexuality except God. And those who believe in God 50 years ago were saying if you were gay, you would go to hell. I and God knew that they were screwed up, but they didn't. You see, I believe not everybody should define God's relationship for them. Since I was 8 years old, my parents told me that I was going to have cerebral palsy all my life. I went in my room and I cried and asked for a miracle. I fell asleep, and then when I awoke, I never cried again, and I figured God didn't make mistakes. Went to the school library, looked for books about cerebral palsy and being gay. Was I the only freak in nature? If I told my parents in the 1960s, would others tell my parents John should see a doctor? Or maybe you should make sure if he really knows God and Jesus Christ. I have my own interpretation of that, but I was afraid that they would rationalize, well, little Johnny has brain damage because of cerebral palsy, and we know what's best for him. I'm not saying my parents would have thought this way, but pressure from friends might have been put on them. I did not know, after all, it was 1967. Smoking is like eating for some people. If I smoked a cigarette, I could stop my hunger pains and my emotional pain. Smoking also helped my body relax, and when it got tight, which is not uncommon for cerebral palsy. At the end of high school, I was smoking a pack a day. In college, 2 years later, 2 packs a day. I started to gag when I urinated, so I at this time my stepmother was dying of cancer. I quit when I got sick with a cold for a few days, and I called up my mom and told her I quit, and if I ever started up again, it would mean that I gave up on myself. And I promised her I wouldn't smoke again. That was when I was 25 years old. When I was 55 years old, a friend lived in the apartments, and he smoked a lot. Anyway, I took a few puffs. Then one summer night, I asked somebody for a smoke. I took the cigarette, went back by the tennis courts, and fired it up. And I felt so guilty as hell after I had the cigarette. I felt lonely in Fresno, and felt like such a lonely place here. And most people didn't understand me or my sexuality. I knew my mom would forgive me. I could have started up again and rationalized, well, life is short, mom is dead, and she would understand my loneliness. That is what addicts like me like to do. Once a cigarette addict, always an addict. People around me in time would accept that I was a smoker, and they would say, well, that's the way John chooses to deal with stress in his life. But I did not choose to walk this path because it would be slow suicide. Radio and TV concept reality drive me up the wall because at times I would love to meet some of these people within that reality. Why wouldn't I? I'm a writer, a reflector. All writers or musicians or actors are reflectors. Sometimes people don't get it at all. If I started smoking again, I could put on my headphones, listen to music and write, and be content till I die. But that would not be honoring the promise I made to my mother. People's words used to mean something in America. Sorry to say that is often not true in 2015. I am just one person, one soul, but I am sure other people like me out there exist. Pretty sad when a cigarette is like a friend to somebody now, isn't it? Adults and teachers. To keep my sanity, I say God knows the truth, at least my interpretation of God to me. There are times when I think a smoke would comfort me, but I have never respected people who quit, give up on themselves in this life. And that goes for me too. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.